Hello, I'm Diane Kaufman. I work for the University of Maryland, Baltimore, School of Pharmacy, Department of Pharmaceutical Health Services Research. Today we are discussing Federalwide Assurance, which is usually referred to by its acronym FWA. Today we will discuss what Federalwide Assurance is, its applicability, compliance with laws, regulations, and policies, institutional review board and how it works within FWA, reliance on an external IRB, and applying for institutional FWA. We will also review some of the patient's IRB FWA information at the end of this session. Well, what is Federalwide Assurance? FWA is a measure established by the federal government to assure that any institution that engages human subjects in their programs and research and applies for and/or receives federal funds is compliant with the rules and regulations that protect human subjects. Human subjects research must be guided by a statement of principles. Federalwide Assurance is an assurance of compliance with the U.S. federal policy for the protection of human subjects in research. These terms apply whenever the institution becomes engaged in human subject research, conducted or supported by any U.S. federal department or agency that has adopted the Common Rule, unless the research is otherwise exempt from the requirements of the Common Rule or a U.S. federal department or agency conducting or supporting the research determines that the research shall be conducted under a separate assurance. This means that we must comply with the Common Rule, have an exemption, or follow specifically designed guidelines if we engage human subjects in projects funded by the U.S. federal government. The government takes the protection of human subjects very seriously. Institutions performing research involving human subjects must have a review board knowledgeable of all applicable laws, regulations, policies, and guidelines in place to review all research protocols involving human subjects. If a U.S. federal department or agency head determines that the procedures prescribed by the institution afford protections that are at least equivalent to those provided by the Common Rule, the department or agency head may approve the substitution of foreign procedures in lieu of the procedural requirements provided above. Additionally, the government can approve a substitute protection plan, but it must be equivalent to those established in the Common Rule. The institution submitting the FWA must have established written procedures for ensuring prompt reporting to the IRB, appropriate institutional officials, the head of any U.S. federal department or agency supporting the research, and the Office of Human Research Protections of any 1. Unanticipated problems involving risks to subjects or others, 2. Serious or continuing noncompliance with the applicable U.S. federal regulations, and 3. Suspension or termination of IRB approval. The institution will ensure that the IRBs that review research to which the FWA applies has established written procedures for 1. Conducting the IRB initial and continuing review, which can be not less than once per year. 2. Determining which projects require review more often than annually and which projects need verification from sources other than the investigator. And 3, ensuring prompt reporting to the IRB of proposed changes in the research activity. Upon request, the institution will provide a copy of these written procedures to the Office of Human Research Protections, or any U.S. federal department or agency conducting or supporting research to which the FWA applies. Many times, subcontractors and small community participants rely on UMB's IRB. Whenever the institution relies upon an IRB operated by another institution or organization for review of research to which the FWA applies, the institution must ensure that this arrangement is documented by a written agreement between the institution and the other institution or organization operating the IRB. It must outline the relationship and include a commitment that the IRB will adhere to the requirements of the institution's FWA. There are samples of the agreement that can be used for such purpose on the government's website. Institutions must submit all FWAs, including new FWAs, electronically using the electronic submission system available through OHRP's website, unless the institution lacks the ability to do so. Institutions must update its FWA within 90 days after changes occur regarding the legal name of the institution, human protections administrator, or the signature official. FWAs are effective for 5 years and must be renewed every 5 years, even if no changes have occurred, in order to maintain an active FWA. Any renewal or update that is submitted electronically and approved by OHRP begins a new 5-year effective period. You will need all relevant information before filing for FWA. That includes the name of your institution, the institutional components, the statement of principles, assuring applicability, assuring compliance, designating your institutional review boards and human protections administrator, and all information related to the signatory official. You'll need the legal name and address for the institution and all institutional components, including alternate names and other names that fall under the umbrella of the applying institution. Please note that the signatory official signing this assurance must be legally authorized to represent the institution providing this assurance and all components listed. The institution assures in the Statement of Principles that all of its activities related to human subjects research, regardless of the source of support, will be guided by the following statement of principles governing the institution in the discharge of its responsibilities for protecting the rights and welfare of human subjects of research conducted at or supported by the institution. We have discussed applicability earlier in this session. The assurance applies whenever the institution becomes engaged in human subjects research, conducted or supported by any U.S. federal department or agency that has adopted the U.S. federal policy for the protection of human subjects, unless the research is otherwise exempt from the requirements of the Common Rule. Optional for U.S. institutions is that you can voluntarily elect to apply a different rule that would have to be approved. The institution assures that whenever it engages in research to which this assurance applies, it will comply with the terms of the Federalwide Assurance contained in a separate document on the Office of Human Research Protection's website. Non-U.S. institutions assure that whenever it engages in research to which this assurance applies, will comply with one of the following or more of the following rules or regulations or guidelines. The institutions designate 1, their IRB, and 2, Human Protections Administrator. You will need all contact information. There are usually a limited number of individuals who are authorized to sign for an institution. One must be identified, and all contact information must be completed, as well as an electronic signature and date. Here you will find information relevant to the Patients Project. Our grant number, R24HS022135. The Patients Protocol for IRB. This number identifies a specific IRB number for Patients Protocol within our Cicero system. It is not the number needed if a partner is submitting a federal-wide assurance. University of Maryland's FWA. This also is not the number for an external partner to use. And Maryland's IRB, this number is required for patients partners deferring to the University of Maryland IRB and their FWA. The number may change, so you need to make sure update your information periodically. We also give the HPRO website with regard to the FWA documents. This concludes today's session. We welcome feedback, which can be sent to me at dkaufman@rx.umaryland.edu. We look forward to working with you.